Hey, Jillian.
Hi.
How you be, cutie? I miss you.
Honestly, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah,
I
for
love
real.
that I'm doing this with you. You look
Same here.
gorgeous. Gorgeous
Vice
as always.
versa. Vice versa, girl. Obviously, we're a part of many intersectionalities. How does that steer you forward in this industry that you're in now with the waves that you're making? Because you're making huge waves. You're a part of the L word. You're a model. How is that for you?
It's, all of these dimensions that make me me. I love celebrating all of that because that's who I am. So it's trying to be as authentic as I can to who I am and representing that on screen because of the unfortunate fact that specifically like the disability community for me has been one of like the most underrated categories in representation. So I
I
try to
agree.
bring, I try to bring my Latin heritage into it. I bring in my queer heritage into it, my queer community into it,
I mean,
and
queer was a heritage, honey. I wouldn't be mad at that, baby.
all the blood, sweat, and tears that you went through, and now you're here, Miss Emmy nominated. So I want to
Ooh.
know, how was that moment for you, and like what went through your mind when that was happening?
I found out about that nomination and I broke down in tears. My aunt, my mother, we all hugged. I fell into my boyfriend's arms and I was just, at that moment, I realized this is what representation looks like. How often do you ever see a Latina, Black, strong, confident woman who knows who she is and who stands in her
Yes.
solidarity get this opportunity to even think she could be considered for a nomination? I can even parlay that towards your way. Like how does it feel to be a well-known leading actress of a show, being a model, all of these things that have come your way?
It's so beautiful that I'm able to bring my heritage, that I'm able to bring like who I am as a person in every job that I do, and that there's an audience who's like, I see you, I hear you, and I support you.
Yeah.
And that constant feedback is, like I said, it's so validating. For me, representation was very slim pickings when I was growing up. There was basically no one that I can look up to and be like, she's a Latina. She's like, has a disability and she's out here like
Right.
doing it in these red carpets. Like, I didn't see that. Hopefully, we could be like those leaders that people can like look and say, I can do that as well. I can be that person. Like, I wish that I can see us when I was younger.
I feel you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there weren't really authentic stories talking about the real lived experience of trans people. So I wanted to ask you, how has that changed from you filming it and like knowing that you were part of that like huge iconic change in television?
I from the very beginning of Pose and when I saw the breakdown of the show, I knew that I wanted to do something that really incorporated telling our stories like how they needed to be told. I just knew that it was going to possibly be done right simply because of how they had the descriptions of the women. When the show aired and when it went through its first and second season, there was this liberation in me because not only was it a person who was queer, who we know is Ryan Murphy, but we also knew that there were other queer BIPOC people there, and it was just a slew of us in that space to really solidify the stories that needed to be told, and they were a part of the community. We all were a part of the ballroom scene. We all had our understanding of our own stories and our walk of life, so it kind of made it much easier for us to tell our stories, and then to tell it through the gaze of a Black and just Hispanic/Latina lens, even better. Not every trans person is your stereotypical or stigmatized idea of how you perceive them. We have our own lives. We live our own lives. We have blood that bleeds. We have hearts and feelings that hurt. And we also have struggles. And sometimes our struggles are very much similar to our quote unquote counterparts who are heterosexual. It just so happens that when you are of color and when you are of a specific community, there's a bit more of a burden because some people don't have the education and understanding of how you move through the world until they actually see it. So when Pose came out, people really got to see that trans individuals, whether you are a trans woman or a trans man, queer individuals, we are regular human beings. And at the beginning, I was scared. I was like, we're not going to be perceived like that. We're going to be perceived like what I experienced walking down the streets when I was, 23 years old, 25 years old, getting hit on, but also being called all kinds of names. I thought that's what was going to happen when Pose came out. And instead, it was nothing but love.
How have you seen your own community since then move forward? And is there anything that you'd like to see in like 5 years with that
Oh
kind of like
yeah,
story?
I would definitely love to see more gender nonconforming and trans male stories being told, because not a lot of trans men or gender nonconforming individuals have their stories to tell just yet. I mean, it's still quote unquote a new topic for the people who haven't heard about it, and it shouldn't be. Just like I am a trans woman who is a regular person, gender nonconforming people are special, regular individuals as well, and their stories need to be told. So I definitely want to see more of that.
What would be like your advice for the industry moving forward as far as keeping this, a standard?
Jillian,
Yes.
now that I've realized and that we've been in the industry a little bit more, I think there needs to be, we've had these ongoing conversations in amazing talks like this or in interviews where we speak about representation behind the scenes for individuals like us, where we can be a part of being a director or being executive producer or being a writer. But now I'm starting to realize that it's even bigger than that. They need us in the spaces when there's voting happening.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like those are the only ways we can really push the narrative forward and open up space more for us. Having a platform like this, how do you utilize it for the community?
I think, and I can speak for myself, but I think you as well, where you use your social media platform for good, and you actually like talk about the situations that really matter within your own community and like highlight that, and also post about the amazing things that are happening within community, because it doesn't all have to be like sad and like sacrificial.
How has the industry changed with all of the awareness and also some of the lack of awareness? Do you think with you being a part of it and you making a stand and actually being an advocate and also being someone who is an activist in the space that you're in, do you think it's changed since you've been there?
The fact that I have this as a career, it's already like an example that it has changed,
Right.
I've been in like the fashion industry for, I want to say, for like 12 years. Even during that time where I was stepping into it, I don't think that people were understanding of our place or welcoming of our place, that we've like worked years and years and years for to be here. Does there need to be work done? A bajillion percent. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're just at the beginning. And I think it has to do a lot with like the coming of social media and people connecting with people around the world and understanding that they're not alone. You're not losing it when you say, like, someone like myself who has a disability deserves, an opportunity,
Space.
a job, a space. Exactly.
I want you to really tell us about your organization, Black Disabled Creatives. What made you really, come together and form this?
It started one day during the time of the reintroduction of Black Lives Matter. I started seeing people posting about like top 5 Black restaurants, top 5 authors, and on to give space to the community to like, to really shine or really present themselves during that time. But I wasn't seeing anyone talking about the fact that every person who got murdered during that time had a disability. Within the disability community, Black people get less jobs than white disabled people do. So I decided to do a page where all creatives can like put their information there. So if brands or companies want a graphic designer or a photographer or a model, they can find them there and employ them, because everybody needs to pay the bills.
Being that we are setting the standard, right? We're not the conventional women who fit inside the beauty standards. And I've spoken about this on Twitter. I don't like beauty standards. I feel like they can be very, very dangerous. How do you feel about that? And how do you think they influence a lot of youth today?
When I was growing up, the only like beautiful person, quote unquote, beautiful person was like skinny, tall, blue-eyed white girl with blonde hair, straight white hair, like very disrupt size, like 00.
Double zero, girl. Even though
like,
the girls be cute, but it was just a lot of it.
It was
what I mean?
I was like, this
Excessive.
is not even a Barbie doll. Like, a Barbie doll is not even this like creature that we're trying to say that is beautiful, because the world that I'm seeing outside is not reflected from what I'm seeing that it's beautiful. So you're trying to tell me that everybody out there is not beautiful because they don't fit into that? Like, that'd make no sense. So that could be really dangerous if you don't have like that strong mindset or a support system around you to tell you that that should invalidate your worth, right? So yeah, it is very, very dangerous to have this sort of like perfect body, perfect self, because humans are not, we're various different shapes and sizes,
I
and
love the way you said that though. You said humans are not, like they're not.
as long as you're your most authentic self, that is beautiful enough to me.
What's the advice as the person that you are you can give to the youth for them moving forward?
It's actually a question that I take so close to my heart, because I always see it as like if I was able to tell my younger self. I think like the best advice I probably would be is if you're able to speak up, to do so. Whether it's like as small as your own family or your group of friends, what can snowball into something so beautiful is like you standing up for your community. If there's something that in conversation that's said that's ignorant or just not true, to say, hey, that's very hurtful, and I'm going to tell you why. Is there anything that advice that you would have for like emerging singers or emerging actors?
One thing I could let them know is to not be concerned with the negative or the derogatory things that may come their way, because it's not necessary for them. Instead, constantly build the confidence that you already have that's innately inside of you, and find people that you can really relate with and be around that are going to love you regardless, and that are going to uplift you and make sure that you can reach the goals, the aspirations, the dreams that you've always wanted. When I was watching, one episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, I remember Jinx Monsoon saying water off a duck's back. And that was the best thing I could have ever heard, because that helped me understand that there's going to be excess amount of misunderstanding, people not and choosing not to understand you. But the best thing to do is disengage and keep on your path. And they will sooner than later understand your plight and what journey you were on, and just might want to join on the bandwagon. Okay. They might want to join on that train with you.
Because there's room.
So
there is room.
There's always room.
There's so much room, honey. It's a Noah's Ark out here. Oh my God, I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you and to have this like beautiful, authentic conversation. There should be more of these, I think.
No, for real.